Started. I would like to call the meeting to order, and this is our regular board meeting for September. If everyone would join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. This time we have a couple of students from North Middle here who's hosting our board meeting tonight. They're going to say our pledge for us, and those two students are Hannah Slaughter and Caitlin Wester. If you would come forward. Everyone stand for the
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Hannah and Caitlin.
Thank you. Thank you,
Okay, board members, we must now approve the minutes of the prior board meeting. And you've all had a chance to review those and see if there are any changes to be made. If there are no changes to be made, then I need a motion to approve the minutes of the prior board meeting.
Make a motion.
A motion by Mr. Johar. Second by Mr. Bowers. All in favor of approving the minutes of the prior board meeting, say aye. Aye. All opposed? I hear none. And next, we need to approve the agenda. And there are a couple additions that we need to try and add tonight. The first one is, if we choose to consider this, a letter of support for Madisonville Community College application for National Science Foundation Advanced Technical Education Program. And on Monday night at our work session, Mr. What's his name? Shermer had spoke with us about this, so we had discussed it on Monday night. So I'm going to make the motion. I'm going to move to amend the agenda by adding item E to consider the letter of support for Madisonville Community College application for National Science Foundation Advanced Technical Education Program. And I'll need a second.
A second.
Second by Ms. Wells. All in favor of amending, well, I guess we'll do, actually, there's another one, sorry. Need to amend the agenda also to, on the fundraiser consent agenda, to add additional fundraiser from Longest Elementary. And I move to amend the agenda by adding this to the consent agenda.
Make a motion.
Second by Mr. Johar. Are there any other additions to the agenda or changes that need to be made? If not, I need a motion to approve the amended agenda.
I make a motion.
I have a motion by Ms. Wells, second by Mr. Bowers. All in favor of approving the agenda as amended, say aye. Aye. All opposed? I hear none. And next, we are up to recognitions. Ms. Carla?
Good evening, board members, Superintendent Davis, and all of you guests out there. We have with us some special teachers this evening that are doing some amazing things in our elementary schools. Each of the 5 elementary schools, Head Start, preschool, have recently been issued an All-Stars rating certificate. These ladies are getting us ready for all these school-age kids, so they are getting them geared up, 3 to 4-year-olds. So to better explain this great achievement, Ms. Wendy West, Middlebury County's preschool coordinator, is going to come and explain this recognition and present some certificates.
board members, Mr. Davis, and guests. I'm here tonight to recognize our outstanding preschool teachers in our Head Start preschool program. All of our centers are nationally accredited through the National Association for the Education of Young Children, and you may hear that called NAEYC. Kentucky has now developed their own system. It's called Kentucky All-Stars, and it's an expanded 5-star quality rating improvement system. Because we know studies show that children who attend high-quality early learning environments have better math, language, and social skills. So it's a unified system where all the early care and education programs that receive public funding, including child cares, including Head Starts, including preschools, are going to be going through. So it's going to be public, what everybody's rating is. And I'm just so ecstatic tonight to share this with you guys. We have 2 classrooms at Bremen. We have 2 classrooms at Central City. We have 1 classroom, at Longest. We have 2 classrooms at Greenville. And we have 1 classroom at Muhlenberg South Elementary for a total of 8 Head Start preschool classrooms. Mr. Davis will be presenting each teacher their certificate for receiving the highest attainable Kentucky All-Stars rating system. They each got a 5-star rating system. Congrats, preschool teachers. I'm so proud of you. First up, we have Mary Beth Thomas from Bremen Head Start Preschool. Her teacher associate is Miss Katie McElwain. Then we have Miss Lacey Gallion from Bremen Head Start Preschool. Her teacher associate is Miss Katie Griffin. Next we have, Autumn Wilkins is not able to be here tonight. She's our new girls softball coach, and so they have a game at 5:30 tonight. Next we have Miss Tara Gentry. Tara is our Head Start preschool teacher at Central City Elementary School. Her teacher associate is Miss Samantha Jones. Longest. Next we have Miss Misty Pogue from Longest Elementary Head Start Preschool. Her teacher associate is Miss Candace Duckett. Next we have Miss Ashley Johnson from Greenville Head Start Preschool. Her teacher associate is Miss Jamie Dietrich. Next we have Miss Brittany Wilkins. She is also a teacher at Greenville Head Start Preschool. Her teacher associate is Miss Brooklyn Falver. Got one left? Okay. Next we have Miss Kelly Chrisman. She's our Head Start Preschool teacher at Muhlenberg South Elementary School. Her teacher associate is Miss Carrie Lanier. Thank you all for your time tonight, and I'm proud of these ladies. Thank you. Congratulations.
Okay, now we will move on to our treasurer's report. Mr. Blatzinger.
Thank you. I was trying to get the air on. Tonight I'm bringing to you the financials from August 31st, 2017. Okay, there we go. The revenues this month, our cash beginning balance was 11 million. Investment were $8.5 million for a total beginning balance of about 19.5 million. Our seat dollars are at about 1.625 million. This will remain consistent. Again, this is about a $50,000 drop in our monthly seat dollars. For a total monthly receipts about 2.4 million. Our revenues are down from about down 21,000 from the same period last year, and this is mostly to a decrease in seat funding, about $50,000 decrease in seat funding, but some other funds that were larger help make up for that difference. Expenditures this month. Accounts payable was total about 1.26 million. Debt service was about 659,000 of that. That's one of our large payments. We have a couple payments like that annually. So the rest, towards the end of this year, it should taper off some. Payroll is at 2.55 million. This is right on par with expectations. This payroll is a 3.39% increase from last August, so it's right on trend with the increases. And also the ledger balance at the end of the month was cash of 9.5 million with again the investment of 8.5 million for a total of 18 million. This is down about a million overall. So payroll, gross pay this month was about 2.28 million. Employee deductions was about 793,000 for a net pay of 1.496 million. Taxes accounted for $413,000. KTRS payments of 283,000 were made. County retirement was 150,000. Almost 85,000 in insurance payments and 124,000 in other payments for a total of 2.552 million. The accounts payable breakdown for all funds in August was fixed mix expenses were about $895,000. Utilities expenses were $105,000, and variable expenses were $291,000. It's important to note that of the fixed and mixed expenses, $659,000 of that was that debt service payment that was made. So accounts payable breakdown. Total accounts payable was about 1.292 million. Of that, general fund accounted for 556 million. Special revenue was Fund 2. It was almost 63,000. Debt service 659,000, and food service was $10,797. So breakdown of that cash balance for August. General fund was about 7.7 million, which is down about 744,000 from the previous month. Fund 2 was 361,000, which is a $183,000 increase in comparison to the previous month. Construction, it's at 1,098,000. That's down 77,000. Those were longest elementary roof payments that were made. Debt service is a negative 75,000. Food service at 394,000. Daycare almost 79,000. Community education was $322, and again investments of 8.5 million for a total of 18.1 million. The extended financial picture through January of 2018. I expect if trends continue the same way, we expect that we should have about 10.3 million cash on hand, along with the 8.5 in investments. Finance good news this month. I want to say thank you to OMHS and the hospital for continuation of our school nurse funding. This is a $200,000 contribution that they make to our budget that significantly helps offset some expenses. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Eric. If there's no questions, we'll need a motion to approve the treasurer's report. Have a motion by Mr. Johar.
Second.
Second by Mr. Bowers. All in favor of approving the treasurer's report, say aye. Aye. All opposed? I hear none. Next, payments of bills and salaries. Mr. Wexler?
Thank you again, Chairman. This month I bring $433,483 to you. Of that, $372,000 was general fund. Fund 2 is about $37,000. Construction of $12,900. Debt service of $10,744, and food service of $292. Of the significant payments made this month, there was a payment to NWEA, which is a testing software, of $39,875, and Old National Wealth Management of $10,744 for debt service.
Any questions on bills and salaries? If not, I need a motion to approve payment of bills and salaries.
Make a motion.
Have a motion by Ms. Wells,
Second.
second by Mr. Bowers. All in favor of paying bills and salaries, say aye. Aye. All opposed? I hear none.
Thank you.
Thank you. Payment of school bills. Board members, you've had a chance to review all of the school financials. At this time, do you have any questions in regards to these expenditures? If not, I need a motion to pay the school bills. A motion by Mr. Johar, and a second by Mr. Bowers. All in favor of payment of school bills, say aye. 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 All opposed? I hear none. Public participation. Deborah Gorham. Aye.
Board members, Mr. Davis, and guests. My name is Deborah Gorham.
And I'm Charlotte Newt.
And we're here tonight on behalf of Hope to All Food Bank. Thank you for allowing us to speak a few minutes about hunger in Muhlenberg County. I worked for the school system 20-plus years. I was glad to see the preschool and Head Start teachers recognized tonight. That's where I worked for 20-some years in the county. And so I realized that hunger was a problem, but I just did not realize to what extent. Hope to All is located in Drakesboro and is operated strictly by volunteers. I myself am 62 and I'm one of the younger ones there. My mother, who is 83, works on the line in the back loading boxes. The man who works beside of her is 85. He's retired military. Her husband works back there. There's a 77-year-old. So it's all strictly by volunteers, and we run strictly by donations. We have donations through churches, through individuals, and you've had a couple of clubs from your schools that have had food drives for us before. We serve the entire county and are serving approximately 800 families a month now. In order to qualify, you must prove that you meet the income guidelines, which is at the poverty level, and that you're a resident of Muhlenberg County. We're open every Monday from 9 to 2, and you can receive 1 box per month. We would like for our county schools to have a food drive to benefit the food bank. We realize this would mean extra work for someone, but you would be helping to feed your families and your children. We would promptly pick up the items at the end of the food drive. And Charlotte passed out a thing about the food drive that they had in Hopkins County. Last year, Hopkins County had a competition between the schools to see who could collect the most canned items, and they collected 36,000 pounds of food. That would make a huge impact on what we could give our families during the holidays. A canned good weighs approximately 15 ounces, so that would be 36,000 items. In order to put 1 canned good in each box, we have to have 800 canned items. Not every child can make a monetary donation, but every child can bring a canned item. And we're hoping by making it a competition between the schools that those that are able to bring more will, and that the staff would also participate. We want our children to have more compassion, and we have lots of teenagers on their days off. If they're out of school on Monday, they volunteer at the food bank. We have a young girl from our church, she's 14, and she had told her mother she was going to come tonight to support the food bank, but she had a soccer game, so she couldn't come. So we want the children to have compassion, and it's defined as concern for the sufferings or misfortune of others. With everything happening in our world today, sometimes we become susceptible to compassion fatigue, where we become so overwhelmed by the needs and troubles of others that we become numb to those in our community who are suffering. It could be the person in front of you at the grocery store. It could be the person sitting beside of you in church. It could be your neighbor. It could be a family member that you don't even realize is struggling. And as I said, I worked for the school system 20 plus years. I started working when I was 16 at various jobs. But had it not been for the fact that when my husband passed away, I became eligible to draw off of him, I myself could qualify for a food box, because you don't realize how low of the income that you can be. Can compassion be taught? Absolutely. And if we want to live in a more compassionate world, we need to both teach it and model it. One of our deacons is notorious for saying, I would rather be on the giving end than on the receiving end. And I agree with that, because when you're on the giving end, that means you are able. So we ask that you would be willing to do your part. And I will end with Matthew 25:40 that says, inasmuch as you have done it unto one of the least of these, my brethren, you've done it unto me. Thank you so much.
Thank you for presenting, Ms. Gorham. We appreciate that. Next, we are down to the Superintendent's Report. Mr. Davis.
Thank you, Chairman Rbi, board members. I have a few things tonight. I want to start on something before I forget it. I was able today to go to the high school and watch the college career fair, at least a part of it. And Ms. Bumps, you, and I'm sure everyone, guidance counselors, everyone had a part in that. I was so impressed. We had community there. It was just an outstanding event. And I talked to almost all of the folks who were there and had a booth set up and asked them the same thing. How were our kids? And over and over and over, I got the same response. They were very respectful. Each and every one said the same thing. So I'm very proud of that. I thought it went exceptionally well. They did say maybe need to work on a little soft skill stuff. Look you in the eye when they shake your hand, and that's something that we're going to work with our kids. But we know that's a bit of an issue, but we're getting there. But very thoughtful, very good event. And I got to watch some mock interviews, which is outstanding. We need to go through that more. The kids did a tremendous job. I just can't really say enough about it. I want to spend just a little bit of time talking about pension reform and what everyone's hearing, what everyone's nervous about. And the fact is, there's just not a lot of new information out there. And what I encourage folks to do is to try to be as calm as you can and just be watchful. Obviously, it's scaring us all a little bit. We're all a little nervous about it, how it may affect us individually and as a district. But at the same time, I hate to see someone rush to retirement or make a fast decision based on possibly bad information or things that aren't going to happen. So one thing we're going to try to do, we're going to do, is next Monday, Melody Epley, MCA rep, Penny Rogers, KEA, and Melinda Prunty, our state rep, and then C.B. Embry, our state senator. We're going to meet at the board and try to set a time where we can have a public meeting where everyone can come and hear the latest information. And so we're trying to set a format for that, time for that, where they can come and basically, hopefully, calm some of our fears and say it's not going to be scorched earth like some are wanting to say, because I don't think that's going to be the case. But there are a lot out there that they're a little nervous about it, so I just want you to know we're going to do the best. I see it as my job to get as much information in front of you as quickly as I can, and that's exactly what we're going to try to do. So I appreciate everyone willing to help with that. Next thing I need to spend just a bit of time on is I'm supposed to go over each month, I just found this out, I supposed to have done it last month, one of my standards and talk about what I'm trying to do to meet my standards that are required of me. And standard 1 is strategic leadership. And I'm just going to mention just a few things to the board here who will be doing an evaluation of me here at some point, what I'm trying to do to meet standard 1. One of the first parts of that, 1A, is create a relationship with the board. And I met with each of you for probably an hour or 2 hours right after I got the job and try to keep the lines of communication open as much as I possibly can with weekly updates. And I realize our relationship is important, not just for us, but for everyone out there. 1B is model culture and vision. I've had the opportunity to, on opening day, talk about my vision a little bit and my vision for the culture in this county. And actually last Monday, I was able to talk to over 100 community leaders with the MAP, Muhlenberg Alliance for Progress group, got that together. And I was able to talk about a lot of things, including, again, my vision, including soft skills. What we're looking for is what can we do to separate Muhlenberg County kids from other counties. Getting a high school diploma obviously is a big deal. That gets you in the door. That's not going to get you the job. So we're trying to, what are things that when they say, eventually I want to get to the point, that's a Muhlenberg County kid. They've got to, what separates them? Soft skills is certainly one of those things. When they learn the little things, and we're going to drill this. We're already doing it, and this month we're going to be more purposeful about it. Just things like being on time, keep your cell phone in your pocket, turned off, at home, shaking someone's hand with a firm handshake, looking them in the eye, being polite, sitting up, going through mock interviews, knowing how to handle that stress, and that is stressful, by the way, folks. Those kind of things, if we're more purposeful about that, it makes a difference. And I want our kids to have the leg up when they go either trying to get into college they're trying to get into or try to get a job. So that's something I've had the opportunity to do, and I'll continue to hammer on that. That is my vision. So I've said that a couple of times at some events, and I'll continue to try to do that. Determine financial priorities. Now I want to be careful how I talk through this one. I've spent a lot of time with Eric each week trying to learn this budget and get a total understanding of the budget. I've spent time in Frankfurt, 4 days so far in Frankfurt, and a large part of it is going over the budget and how to handle that. A priority is to get folks back to where they were, money-wise. That was day one. Eric came to me, and that is something that we want to do. I don't want to go out on a limb here. I don't want to say I'm promising this, because there's some things out there that's scaring us just a little bit, and I'm just not sure how that's going to come down. But as far as financial priority, our number one priority is taking care of our kids and giving them the best education we possibly can. And part of that is the folks who are getting that done, compensating them in the right way. And that is on our minds. I can assure you that. That's about as far as I can say right now. Hopefully in a couple of months we'll know more where we are with that. And finally here, facilitate high academic goals. I was able to meet with each principal after I got the job for probably a couple of hours. We went over TEL surveys, we went over test scores. We talked about goals for this year, and test scores will come out, I think, in a little over a week, and we'll be able to talk about goals again. And one of the things we talked about in particular was getting into classrooms, the importance of getting into classrooms and the importance of me getting into schools. And it's really easy to get bogged down and you need to do all this paperwork. But we cannot forget why we're here, and it's these kids. And where it's happening is in those classrooms. So that's something we've talked about. So those are a few of the things, and hopefully as time goes on I'll add a few more. But those are the few things that I'm trying to do to meet strategic leadership. Are there any questions about that? Excellent, thank you.
Thank you.
Now let's get to some good stuff. I have Mr. Chappell here. I don't think I could have kept him away if I tried. He's got some kids he's really proud of. So Mr. Chappell, come up and talk to us about that.
Run over everybody with it.
Here, yeah.
Okay. My name's Shad Chappell. I teach here at Muhlenberg North Middle School, 8th grade. Coaching this team. We rock, too. Recently, we've been studying kinetic energy, and I tasked them with building a project like this called Kinetic Energy Slide to show the relationship between kinetic energy, mass, and speed. As you can see, awesome product. It doesn't only concern kinetic energy, but also aspects of physics, geometry, and engineering. Every one of my students completed one of these successfully, but as you can see, this one was exceptional. And we started with something simple like this, and then we went to this, and we made tracks out of it. This has to be pretty precise. If you look at the finished product, that's an awesome product. And I don't want to take any more of their time, Mr. Davis. And I'm sorry for calling you every 2 or 3 days about this.
Like I said, look at this guy's arms. I had to let him come.
Good.
Hello, my name is Hannah Slaughter. And my name is Caitlin Wester. Today we'll be discussing our Marble roller coaster project. We hope you enjoy. This is a roller coaster used to measure speed of different marbles. It took about 1 week to make this roller coaster. The track of the roller coaster is made of paper that was measured and taped together. The main support beam is a rolled up poster and the base is a piece of recycled poster board. This project was not difficult to make because our teamwork was flawless. We worked very hard at all times and stayed focused. Thanks to this project, we really got to show our abilities and creativity. The purpose of making this project was to see how mass affects speed and kinetic energy. We did different trials for 3 different size marbles and recorded the speed of them on our data sheet. From this, we learned that the marble with the most mass rolled the fastest down the track. Also, how mass and kinetic energy are directly proportional, which means they affect one another in a situation. Kinetic energy goes up as mass increases and decreases when mass goes down. We found our track length by multiplying the diameter of the whole support beam by how many spirals the roller coaster has. Then we converted it from centimeters to meters to get our answer, 5.1 meters. To get the average time of our 3 trials that we did, we added all of the times together and divided it by 3. Then to get the object's average speed, the formula was distance divided by time. So you take your track length divided by the average time of the 3 trials. Finally, to get the object's kinetic energy, you use the formula 0.5 times mass times speed squared. The answer will be in joules. In conclusion, overall, we are very proud of our project and how amazing our teamwork was. We had a blast on this project and can't wait for the next. Finally, we would also like to give a huge thanks to Mr. Chappell for letting us have this incredible opportunity of presenting this amazing project to you all.
Thank you, girls.
It's going to be hard to follow that, but I'm going to go with principals' reports now, where they're going to get a couple of minutes to talk about what's going on good at their school. Mr. Sharp, good luck following that.
I just want to say that I'm very proud of a proud teacher. Normally, Caitlin was in my homeroom class, and she made me very proud as I was a 5th grade teacher at Raymond. So I want to talk shortly about our RBI program. It is up and running. It's called the Rbi Instruction Program. It's for 4th and 5th grade students. Students take the MAP test, then they're placed in specific RIT bands based on reading and math. And just want to give our 4th and 5th grade teachers a big shout out. It's a new strategy, but they jumped in on it quickly and have really done a good job implementing it. They work so hard every day, and their attitude is great, and it amazes me every day. And I'd also like to say that our students have done a great job on the math test. I would like to share an Eagle Pride moment with you guys. Last month we talked about Eagle Pride moments. I have Lily Wiggins with me, so Lily, would you please stand up? Lily is the daughter of Brian and Alicia Wiggins. Her brother is a kindergartner. His name is Charlie. You can come on up here too, Charlie. He's in Miss Grove's class. Our homeroom teacher is Miss Morgan. Lily is an incredible actor and a student. In fact, today she was in the Charlotte's Web play. She received an Eagle Pride Award today. She received an Eagle of Pride Award today, though, not for her great achievements in and out of class, but for her great example of great character and kindness. So I want to share the Eagle Pride moments submitted by her teacher, Miss Morgan. Lily stayed behind to clean the mess that her table mates had made when the other class members went to visit Miss Durrell's class for a fun social studies activity. She did this without being asked. As you can see, Lily is a showcase of many great things that are going on at Bremen Elementary. We had around her neck, you can see the Eagle Pride lanyard when they showcase a really good moment. The teacher submits it to me. We put one of these around their neck at a special place they can sit at lunch. So, and Miss Lily has an Eagle Pride necklace for each one of you board members. So thank you so much.
Oh, wow.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you, Mr. Sharp and Charlie and Lily. Ms. Higgs?
First of all, I want to talk about school-wide jobs. This is our third year of students in third, fourth, and fifth grade do an application. They apply for a certain job. That application has to be a certain criteria they have to meet. Go through, we select them, we award their job, and then they do that job for 4 to 6 weeks, depending on how the calendar falls. And we have that up and going. It's working well. So we have our new first batch, and we'll send out new applications for next week. So we're real proud of that program. I also want to give a shout out to our teachers. Today we kicked off our PLCs, working with their assessment data, determining our instruction for our students. So we're proud of the teachers for being in there with that today.
Thank you, Ms. Higgs.
Thank you.
Ms. Jones? She here?
Well, I just want to spotlight that I appreciate, all the work that our staff and students have been doing. Math testing went extremely well. We have been analyzing those scores and been very proud of those. Our grit-based instruction begins next week, where we break apart those scores, and students will begin focusing on reading vocabulary next week. In addition to that, our students have been benchmark testing in their reading, and everything's going well. They're working really hard. Our Black Hawk Club started this week. Actually, yesterday started our first, and we have very interesting after-school clubs that our staff members, of course, volunteer to do. Our 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders get to sign up for those. But today, I was actually introduced to a new club that's very exciting, and I hope to be able to bring that here in a few months and show it off to you all. If you have not heard of Tanickling, that's what I said, Tanickling. It's some really neat, it takes a lot of coordination. I even tried it myself this afternoon. So very interesting. You can look up videos on YouTube, but hopefully here in a few months our Greenville students will be coming and showing that off. I believe South Elementary, though, has had that club as well. So,
How do you spell that, Ms. Jones?
T-A-N, yeah, I can spell it, T-A-N-I-C-K-L-I-N-G. And I know that because I had to ask myself.
That's part of that vocabulary. That reading of vocabulary.
Exactly. But I bring with me tonight, we are we're working very hard during the school day, but we are also encouraging community involvement with ourselves as staff members, but as our students as well. And I bring tonight, first off, Miss Rachel Dukes. Let Rachel stand up. Rachel, of course, in July was crowned as Miss Muhlenberg County Preteen in July, but she will be representing, of course, her family. She's the daughter of Michelle and Josh Dukes. And that she is going to be going to the Miss Preteen Kentucky pageant. So very excited about that. And she is definitely utilizing some of those soft skills, so she can definitely demonstrate those. Eye contact and interviewing skills. So really appreciate her coming tonight and all the work that she's doing in school and out of school. And beside her, I'm going to have Miss Haley Childs stand up. Haley is the daughter of Brad Childs and Leslie Hanley. Last Friday, our
Greenville Elementary Glow Run team joined the Happy Feet Glow Run, and we had some students that joined us as well. But out of, I was told, 70 participants that were there that night, actually I'm proud to announce that Haley received second place in that Glow Run. So I'm very proud of her. She definitely showed me up because I would not have been able to make it that fast. But very pleased with them. And both of these girls, of course, come tonight and represent their 5th grade classes. They were able to, we're blessed with our location. They were able to take a walking field trip on September 11th to the September 11th Memorial. And in doing so, they actually took items that they collected for the hurricane victims to on Main that day. So they're just really stepping up for their community. So I just want to
Thank you, Ms. Jones. Mr. Hardison?
I'd like to introduce one of my 5th grade students, the longest, Mr. Austin. He's been a helper with me, like Ms. Higgs at Super City. We have school-wide jobs, and one of our jobs is the voice of longest. And so Mr. Austin meets with me every morning and helps me get the day started on the intercom. And he gets our business going right on time, 7:25 every morning. So while I'm kind of outside greeting parents at the drop-off, Austin's taking care of business inside. He's making sure he has the day right and gets the latest news uploaded and ready to go. But we meet in the office, and he gets the day started with a professional start. So he's one of our outstanding students. Academic team, is that right? Academic team, very successful last year, and he played a big part of that. Archery's fixing to start off right away. I think we had a meeting the other night. So archery, so we're proud of Austin. But speaking of greatness, we talked about, I extended that question to not only Austin being a great example of many of our students at school and the work he does. I asked our teachers, what makes Longest great? And in their words, I just want to read a couple comments to you. As you can tell from some of these, we've been working a lot on developing our culture, making sure it's a positive, full of energy learning environment. Ms. Takia Staples, Longest is a school that has a faculty and staff that puts kids first. All teachers and staff truly care and want only the best for students at LES. Teachers and staff work hard to help every student achieve their very best. I feel blessed to work with such hardworking, caring people. Michelle Carver, 2nd grade teacher. We celebrate each other's victories. We build each other up and positively encourage. We are a family that loves each other, especially our students. Miss Ann McGill. The definition of greatness is ever changing, depending on whom you ask for a definition. At Longest, our greatness comes from always striving to improve, to make every day better than the last. Our staff and students are constantly challenging themselves to improve, whether it is our instruction, our use of technology, our projects, our leadership, our administration, our positive energy, our attitude, our celebrations, our rewards, our student engagement, our assessment, or even our connections that make us great with each student. Great things are going on at Longest Elementary. Austin is an example of that. If you guys want to see some greatness, stop by Longest and we'll give you a tour.
Thank you, Mr. Hardison. Mr. Wells?
I'm just going to give you an update on some of the things that are going on in MSCS. We revived our PTO. A few weeks ago, we elected our officers and had our first meeting last week. The first big event for PTO will be helping plan for the Fall Festival, which is just around the corner. Since our last meeting, we've had 2 family nights. We had a family reading night 1st grade and a STEM night in 2nd grade. This week, we've had several big events. We are having our Wild West Saddle Up and Read Scholastic Book Fair in the library. We usually raise close to $4,000 annually with our 2 book fairs. And this week, on Tuesday, we had a grandparents' breakfast for kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade. Today, we had it for the rest of the school. We also always have a tremendous turnout for our grandparents, and many of the families after eating breakfast get to go to the book fair. We had high attendance the day of it yesterday, and tomorrow our local fire departments, that would be Beachmont, Rexborough, and Dunmore, will have our annual fire safety program, and we hope to have a very special guest, Smokey the Bear, there to visit with our children.
Did anything else happen yesterday on high attendance day?
We had an event that happened out back.
What happened?
Was, if we had great attendance, I would kiss a bunch of farm animals. Our attendance was not what we wanted it to be, but with all the kids out there on the hill, I still had to kiss. I think it was 7 now. The kids wanted to know which one was the best. I said none of them were good, but if I had to kiss one again, it would definitely be the horse.
Mr. Rager, thanks for hosting us tonight, and it's your turn.
Hannah and Caitlin are a prime example of the great things that are going on here in Northville, so we don't really have to elaborate on that. They did an awesome job, and thanks to Mr. Chappell of what's going on in his classroom. And we have a lot of great things going on in all the classrooms here. The only thing I'd like to add is that yesterday was High Attendance Day. We had 14 homeroom for the perfect attendance yesterday. We had the entire Galaxy team was here, so all the students on the Galaxy team, they were present yesterday, so really proud of the students for showing up on High Attendance Day. But actually, our attendance rate was higher today than it was yesterday. Anyway, so, and we had 10 students today at the Charlotte's Web, so we're really proud of those students that are in the cast of that production. So anything, but once again, thank you ladies. You did a great job of explaining your project, and I'm very, very impressed.
Good job. Thank you. Mr. Lau.
Just got a few students I'd like to recognize tonight. First of all, 6th grade student Caitlin Bogus. So Caitlin would stand. She competed at the state fair back in August. There were a total of 715 hounds at the Kentucky State Fair. In her age division, with her combined scores, Caitlin took home first place in the Kentucky State Fair Smoked Hound division. Caitlin also took home the Kentucky State Fair Grand Champion in her age division against smoked and non-smoked hounds. And we do not have samples tonight. So but Caitlin is the daughter of Nick and Jennifer Bogus. You would give her a big round. Also like to recognize 3 students. 2 could not be here because of extracurricular activities. We do have one with us, so I ask Madison if she'd go ahead to stand. I'd like to congratulate Madison Morris as well as Baker Hardison and Kylie Gates. Their beta shirt, which Madison is modeling right now, won the 7th place at the National Beta Convention this summer in Orlando, Florida. And Baker Hardison is the daughter of Britt and Jennifer Hardison. Kylie is the daughter of Harold and Penny Gates. And Madison is the daughter of Eddie and Jennifer Morris. And the artwork you see on the shirt, that is the work of Madison. So congratulations to those 3 individuals. And last, I'd like to highlight our staff. South Middle was one of 10 exclusive members of the 2017 TAIL Winter Circle. The Winter Circle schools are recognized for their effective teaching and school leadership practices, and will be shared as models of best practices across the state. There's a 4-phase process. First, you had to have at least 50% of your staff take the TAIL survey. South Middle, we had 100% participation. And I'm proud of that because it wasn't where one afternoon everybody had to get together and meet. It was on their own. So compliments to our staff. The second phase, they looked at different criteria, and we were in the 3rd and 4th quartiles. Third phase, they took those quartiles, looked at the top constructs that they were looking at. One was student discipline, time, facilities, those types of questions. And then 4th, a group took the last group and said, okay, what are the top 10 across the state? And I'm proud of our staff here because this top 10 is elementary, middle, high, all combined. It's not just middle schools, it's all schools in the state of Kentucky. And South Middle did finish in the top 10, so very proud of that. We do have 2 teachers here tonight, Miss Crystal Chappell and then Miss Chrissy Gott are in the back, so you would give them a big round of applause.
Thank you, Mr. Lyle. Ms. Bumps?
So, as Mr. Davis already pointed out, fabulous things are happening at Muhlenberg County High School and Mustang Nation. Just a couple of items to highlight. I do want to thank Mr. Davis for the big shout out that he gave to us earlier today. But I also want to say a big thanks to Mr. Hardison and Ms. Hicks and Mr. Wells for being the first three to volunteer the use of their tables should we need them today. Our Dress for Success Day has grown so much that not only do we have to need our own tables and Martin Hall tables and the tables from Central City Convention Center, but we were having to reach out to others. So that says a great deal of the hard work that Carly Embry and our Friskies and our guidance counselors and Dorothy Walker and just many others, and Mr. McElwain for even getting us our interviewees today and the fabulous job they did. And thanks to Ms. Wells and her booth and helping continue to push that soft skills that our students need to continue to work on. And I think we're able to see some of that growth today. So
We were very impressed.
Thank you, thank you. But I did bring tonight a couple of things. I think it's a flicky thing Ms. Lavelle mentioned the other night. We never hear about our CTE programs. And to be honest, earlier that day on Monday, I'd been in Ms. Thompson's room and had left a Post-it note and said, if you don't mind, I'd like for you to select 2 students from the various architectural projects that they have been doing and have them to come tonight. So they promised me that they would keep it very brief so that we could set the record. So I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Thompson, our engineering teacher, and our 2 students, Reed Stovall and Matt Thompson.
I just want to say, first of all, thank you to the board for allowing us to do Project Lead the Way. It's an amazing program. It's a 4-year program. We offer Introduction to Engineering, Principles of Engineering. The class that they're in is Civil Engineering. And then the senior group, which I hope to showcase their projects very soon, is the Capstone Course or EDT. And I'm just going to talk real briefly about Civil. They just finished Unit 1, and Unit 1 had to do with overall what is civil engineering and architecture. And then the culmination of that is for them to select an architectural style that interests them, and they have to build a model of it, and it has to feature the things that set it apart from other architectural styles. So I'm going to let them showcase their projects.
Wow. Nice.
All right, Bree, tell us just a little bit.
My style of house was Southern Colonial, and in this project we had to design a house that kind of had some value to us, and with this being a Southern style house and being in a somewhat southern state, you see these houses more around the county than other bigger houses.
My house is a bungalow style. I chose this house because you're starting to see a whole lot more of them. They're a smaller house that can fit a family with a larger population growing in the city and stuff. And I want to thank the board members for supporting Project Lead the Way.
Gentlemen, would y'all turn around after she gets a picture and let everyone see it?
And I have 20 students in that class, and they all, we could have brought any of them. They really worked hard. If you get a chance, they're actually showcased upstairs in the trophy case, and they did a fantastic job.
Good job.
Mr. Watkins?
Kind of going off what Mr. Davis and Mr. Bumps had to say about this career fair. Thanks to Ms. Bumps and her staff for allowing us to come over. We brought 7 juniors and seniors. They were excited, not just about going, but actually excited to talk to people about careers and college as well. We had 2 guys that were really interested in labor union and become door makers. A couple other guys are really interested in Louisville's UPS program. And those conversations came back to the school and we kept on talking about it. So we were excited to see that and be concerned about their college and career eventually. Kind of going off of that, a couple good things going on in the classroom. Miss Belton and her students, here at college, career readiness and college fair, been setting long-term and short-term goals. Long-term goals are geared towards what they're going to do when they get out of high school. Short-term goals are geared towards meeting those long-term goals. So that all kind of fit in together today, and again, thanks for inviting us. Coach Browning, one of our new teachers, has hopped on the energy bus and started a breakfast club book reading every morning. And again, those guys, I never thought that they would really enjoy it, but they willing to read more and more pages every day. So we're excited about that book club, and when we finish this book, we can get started with the next.
Thank you, Mr. Watkins.
Good job.
We have Paul Moore here tonight, Job Corps.
The number one thing that I want to bring to you tonight is that this past year we ranked in the Job Corps rankings of high school departments number 8 in the nation out of 126 job corps. And that is number one thing. We service, if we were at full capacity, 340 kids. We have about 280 now. In the past 2 years, we've averaged about 180 high school diplomas to kids who are 16 or 17, hopefully 17, hopefully 18 actually, but anyway, some 16s and 17s, up to about 24. We teach certified nursing assistants, certified medical assistant. We teach drivers, truck driving, teach welding, teach heavy equipment operator. We have some who drive and some who tear them up, so we have a group that fixes them and all that. It's one of the best kept secrets in Muhlenberg County, the Muhlenberg Job Corps. And some of see Miss Gorham there, Gavin, one of my previous students, several of y'all are, as I look around, and it didn't mess up anybody too bad in the past 28 years. But her son is an integral part of the leadership out there, and I wish I could bring some of those up. So the average stay for a student coming in is about 10 to 12 months, and they have to meet a certain poverty level. We work with the kids who are on the margins of society, who come basically from Florida to Memphis. We have a few from Virginia and Pennsylvania now. But if you've never been out there, you should go out there and you just can't walk on. They'll frisk you and make sure you don't have anything and all that. But nevertheless, it's a wonderful thing. They're very frustrating at times, but the most rewarding experiences I've had in the 28 years of teaching.
Paul, the ranking again, 8th out of how many?
8 out of 126. The center this month, Mr. Jones, you heard that we're in the top 10 this month. Gary spent a long time out.
100 years.
20 years, 13. I've been principal 2 years in the park here and taught out there. And as I go into West Campus and see on the wall kids who are college ready or who are career ready, we basically head toward the career ready. But a student who will stay with us 10 to 12 months has a significant change in attitude and preparation for life, how to wear clothes, soft skills, a real skill that they can put in. And several leave, particularly in our welding program, they leave making more money than we do. Not all of them, but a few of them come back making really, really good money. The driving, truck driving is exceptionally good too right now. So it's a wonderful program.
It's a beautiful campus.
It is beautiful.
It's a beautiful campus. And I should say this, Paul has about, how many more days with us, Paul?
I don't know, 6 maybe?
Paul is retiring at the end of the month, so how about everybody? One more. Chairman, regular board members, I know this takes a little time. I just want to get positive things out in front of folks because there's so many good things going on. I'm just so proud of folks, and so I hope you're okay with this.
Yes.
And,
Yes, it's really good.
And that concludes my superintendent's report.
Thank you. And on to personnel actions, Ms. Browning.
I really don't know that there is any way I can follow all of that, but I'll give you some numbers. In the area of certified personnel employment, there were 23 actions. Resignation of certified personnel, there were 3 actions. Reassignment of certified personnel, there were 17 actions. Classified personnel employment, 20 actions. Resignation of classified personnel, 7 actions. Reassignment of classified personnel, 17 actions. And I will say that we just completed another hiring for some substitute positions, and I think we're in pretty good shape there, better than we started off this year. We've had a team of people at the board working together on this to get this accomplished, and everybody pitched in, we got it done, and I think we're going to see a positive effect from what we've done.
Thank you.
Thank you. Attendance and enrollment report, Mr. Freeman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, board members. Come tonight to present our first month attendance report and enrollment for our 2017-2018 school year. The first month for students, the first day was August the 10th, so we're going into from August the 10th until September 1st. There you see the final numbers for the first month, 95.72 compared to last year, 96.07. Attendance down about 0.35% from the first month last year. We were about, just to give you an idea, we were about a half a point up going into the last week. That's how quickly it can change. We had illness hit the elementary, and then the first hurricane coming in, or the hurricane coming in, and the weather, just things like that make a difference. But just trying to keep the principals posted as far as more information on where they stand. Enrollment. Big issue with enrollment. I would like to make a note, and Mr. Moore brought this up, the Job Corps, if you heard in this presentation, they have 280 students out there. But as far as we're concerned, if you look on the enrollment, there's 110. The reason for that is we have 110 students out that are pursuing a high school diploma. The other 170 that are currently out there, they already have their high school diploma. They're more working on the job skills that are necessary, but you do have 110 out there that have not received a high school diploma, so that's why you see the difference there, okay? Enrollment. Currently, this school year, 4,647 are ending the first month, I should say, compared to 4,790, which ended the first month last year. That's down 143 from the first month last year. I like this, what I did last year. I'm sort of also giving you an idea of where we stand from the last day of school. I think that's more of a relative figure. We were down 59 from the last day of school. So even though you have that big difference of 143, we are down 59 from last day. And I thought I'd also do this. I'm going to give you also the current enrollments, and I'll do that each day that we have a board meeting. I ran that this morning. Our current enrollment as of the 21st of September, we have 4,630, which you see is a little different. That's 17 down from the end of the first month. So up and down. So that's about what Mr. Blessing and I we're looking at. Again, based on the projections of all the different studies. I mean, that's sort of what we're thinking, and hopefully this is the year that we how should we say this, remain steady or get a steady number, but we just don't know.
Where are these kids going?
I ran homeschool numbers and things like that. We are currently reviewing that as far as the numbers. It looks like right now that we have roughly about 375 homeschool, but that includes 2 of the Christian schools, and the Christian schools is, I believe, both of them together is around 110 or 105, somewhere like that. So do look at that number and getting a little bit, trying to see, but that's about what we thought. I think we were at around 450 last year. It was the high. So we're trying to see that's I don't know. I think that obviously the economy and the jobs, availability of jobs has something to do with that as far as families, but I don't know. But that's the projections of everything that we're seeing in Western Kentucky, these smaller communities. The projections are saying that the population is going down, and that holds true here. So. anyway, any other questions? Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, board members, we're now down to our action items. The first one is to consider application for full-time emergency certification. Ms. Browning?
Currently, we have a health and PE teacher at the high school whose teaching certificate has expired. In order to get that certificate renewed, the teacher must submit an official college transcript to EPSB showing that the required graduate coursework has been completed. We've been working with this teacher since actually a little bit earlier, I have August, a little bit earlier than that, to get the situation resolved. It has not been resolved as to date. What we have been asked to do after I contacted KDE and EPSB is to post that position. And that position has currently been posted since September the 7th. What I'm asking the board to do tonight is to, since as of today there are no qualified applicants, to approve this emergency certification for this teacher. This will in turn allow this teacher to get the requirements needed to renew her certification, hopefully in time to be back in the classroom as a certified teacher next year.
I need a motion to approve the application for full-time emergency certification.
I'll make a motion.
A motion by Ms. Wells. Second by Ms. Lavelle. All in favor of approving the application for full-time emergency certification, say aye. Aye. All opposed? I hear none. The next thing on the agenda is to consider Affordable Care Act tracking module for PSST contract.
Thank you, Chairman Rager. This is a contract that helps us track per the regulations for the Affordable Care Act. We have to do Form 1095s annually, and this system helps us get those out. Last year, it saved a significant amount of time and effort from me and my team, and I asked that we can renew this.
Motion to accept the recommendation. And I'll make the motion to consider the Affordable Care Act contract.
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Wells. All in favor of considering the Affordable Care Act tracking module for PSS ST contract, say aye. Aye. All opposed? I hear none. Next is to award bid for architect services regarding the roof replacement at the Muhlenberg County Board of Education Central Office. Mr. Blitzinger.
Thank you again. This is merely a perfunctory step in the process of getting this roof replaced. We have to have a contract in place with our architect. This is a state drafted and mandated contract, and I ask that we approve that, and so we can move forward with this project, please.
Have a motion by Mr. Johar to award a bid, and I'll second. All in favor of awarding bid for the architect services for the roof replacement at the central office, say aye. Aye. All opposed? I hear none. Next is to consider the 17-18 working budget. Mr. Blitzinger.
First, I really want to say, just seeing the kids that you all saw tonight, they were awesome, but it also speaks volumes of the people that work within this district. So I commend every teacher, even from just someone who's not an educator. I think it's incredible what we do in our district, and I think we have amazing people here. So with that, I'd like to present to you the fiscal year 18 working budget. Just a review, want to go over some budget considerations when we draft the budget and we move forward from our tentative budget. A review of the revenues that we receive, and a review of the expenses that are part of that. In terms of budget considerations, our most important thing that we have is long-term sustainability. That is the one thing that I look at the most when I speak with Mr. Davis and Mr. Freeman and everyone else in the board, so we can present to you recommendations that we think are prudent and are in line with the goals with our district. With that said, we have to consider revenue increases over time. And how do we account for expense needs in the future to avoid the need for any more frequent tax increases than humanly possible. So when we recommend anything in terms of expenses, we want to make sure that long-term sustainability doesn't increase our expenses such that we do have to come back and say we're in such a bind that we have to ask the board to increase taxes. Also, pension reform, that's something that Mr. Davis also touched on. There's some expense increases that are really could potentially impact the district very significantly. Our county retirement expense increase, our first estimate that we received from the state was went from 19.18%, I believe it's 19.18, to 26.4%. That was about a $502,000 increase that we could potentially see. However, the latest numbers that we received were a 28.8% increase, which translates to $687,000 increase that we could see in 1 year, which is very significant. However, I do think we've taken steps to be able to kind of absorb some of that, not insignificantly, but I think we're in a much better financial position where the impact is not as deep as other districts may be facing. The 17% governor mandated budget cut, that came from 17%, 69 million. What I did is I took the entire enrollment in the state and came up with a per pupil amount, and that's approximately $101 per pupil. Excuse me, it's $101.70 per pupil. When I apply that to Muhlenberg County's enrollment, just from a raw standpoint, now I don't know how the state's going to divide this up, but I just tried to say, okay, what's it going to look like for our district? That was about $511,563. So that's another potential significant impact to our budget. So, and I'm not quite sure what programs that's going to affect. It could, I think it's going to hit our grants the most. Right now, Jimmy went over maintenance issues that we could potentially see. So, excuse me, which include, we got our roofing issues that we have, HVAC systems, the small units, the large units. We just met with Harshaw Train on Wednesday morning, yesterday, regarding just our energy performance, and it's been going well. But we also, one of the things that we did talk about were some of those large units that were at South Middle that we were looking at replacing, and really we're trying to develop a plan. Even in some of these small meetings, when I meet with Jimmy, I talk to him about what is it going to take to keep those systems running, and as long as humanly possible. And then the day that Jimmy comes and says, Eric or Mr. Davis, I've taken the last part off of one of these other systems that I can cannibalize, that's the day that we're going to have to order one of these big units. And the reason why I say that's the day we're going to have to order it, because there's a 12 to 16 week lead time on those units. So he may have fixed it that one day, but if it goes down in the next week, we've got no cooling. Now, fortunately, if something goes down in the fall, in the winter, the heating portion is going to work, but if something goes down in the winter, the cooling portion is going to work. So we have a little bit of wiggle room there, which is kind of why we can extend some of that ordering time. But that's just kind of, that gives you a good idea of some of the things that we look at when we try to put line items in the budgets. So, I wanted to go over the revenues of all the funds with you. total revenues, I say it's how they classify it as revenues, is $71.9 million. However, that includes a beginning balance of approximately $15.1 million. So you can reduce that, and that's really what we're looking at in terms of revenues. So general fund is about 57.56 million. Of that, 14 million of that is beginning balance, and I'll touch on that when we move forward. Community education is $619. That gets really, we keep money in that account, and then we move money when it needs to be, whenever expenses do occur there. Daycare operations about 301,000. Food service, about 3.4 million. Debt service fund is 3.88 million. With that has $171,500 being contributed from general fund. So, construction is $0. We budget $0 because that's a pass-through fund. When we have construction expenses, we do that through fund transfers from other funds, and it gets paid through that. So it's a zero balance account, basically. Our building fund is about 1.726 million. Capital outlay is 429,000, and Fund 2, which are all the federal grants and those sorts of items, is $4.58 million. So, focusing in on general fund, those revenues, our local revenues are about 14.89 million. That includes our TVA funds. This year, we're recommending about 6.4 million again to budget in terms of revenue. They told us we might expect a bump, but they're unsure, because it's based on sales. So it's a good estimate, but I believe that 6.4 is a conservative estimate, which is where if it does come in a little bit higher, this gives us the ability to absorb some of those increases in expenses that we may see based on pension reform. State revenue, which includes SEEK dollars, about 19.6 million, and of that, the SEEK dollars is $19.55 million. That's a decrease of $577,705 from the previous year. That's purely a reflection of enrollment, which is why Mr. Freeman and I discuss this very, very frequently. And when we plug numbers into the models that we've created to bring any recommendations for salary increases or anything to that effect, those are taken into effect, and so all the numerous factors that affect those are considered. So on behalf amounts, that's a non-cash item. That's about 8.2 million. We never see those dollars come into our bank account. We never see them go out. That's something the state makes us put on there to display what the state contributes on behalf for medical expenses, life insurance, those sorts of items for our district. Medicaid dollars, we expect about 200,000 again this year. We're hoping for that. Again, this is definitely a shout out to Julie Penley and her staff. They do fantastic. So I've used this example before. I'll say it again. One of the first audits that I did that I was with on my own, the auditor thought something incorrect had happened because we went from about 50,000 was it? We went from 50,000 to 200,000 in 1 year, and they said, "You've done something wrong." And we said, "No, we learned how to bill." So I mean, that's some of the things that our staff are doing that are helping us out significantly. Miscellaneous revenue really are fund transfers. That's from food service. Those are indirect costs. We budget $173,000. It's going to fluctuate monthly, so we've tried to base that on what we expect salaries to be. And again, a beginning balance of $14.4 million. So expense line item changes that we did, I kind of gave you some of those, just the big ones, really. With that, we reallocated funds for roofing repairs to South Middle, the central office, and the West Campus kitchen area. We allocated funds for security cameras to Longest Elementary and Central City Elementary, excuse me. We added that $468,515 for vehicles and transportation that the bills did not come in last fiscal year, so we had to move that expense onto this year. We have the money. It wasn't spent last year, so it's merely just transferring that money to this year's budget. And we also reduced roofing repairs for longest by $285,000 because those expenses again weren't done, or well, some of them were paid in fiscal year 2017, so we only rolled over the remaining amount. So we were able to reduce that by $285,000 and reallocate it to other areas. So those general fund expenses. Our fund transfers, $264,133. Some of that is going to debt service, and some of it's going to other areas in the budget. Community services, $502,861. Food service operations is $46,000. That's just Fund $1 that can really it's monitors in the cafeterias. Student transportation, about $4.277 million. This is something that Mr. Davis and I actually went over this afternoon in one of his classes, that he learned that the state used to fund 100%. Now it's when I went through my finance officer classes, they said a rule of thumb was 60%, and now it's down to about 50%. So it keeps going down for districts. Plant operations and maintenance, about $7.99 million. Really, we considered the electrical increases, the KU rates, all those items, and we tried to make sure that we were very prudent in our budgeting on what could happen. But fortunately, as I mentioned in some of my finance good news last month, we were able to get our 3 schools on some special rates that are going to help save us about $15,000 annually overall, just from those schools alone. School admin support is about $2.575, and I skipped business support. That's about $1,094,000. District admin support, $1.8 million. Instructional staff support service, $911,000, and student support service, about $1.577 million, with a contingency of $10,778,000. That's reduced about $72,000 just from different expenses that had to shift. So, are there questions?
Are there any questions for Mr. Blutzinger? Thank you for breaking that down.
It's very helpful.
Thank you.
Can I ask on South Middle?
Yes, ma'am.
If the AC unit is near its time, and if it takes so long to order it, any thought to just go ahead and place an order for a new one instead of waiting and taking that risk, or
from what now I don't see Jimmy here, so but from what he's expressed to me, we've got some time with that, so it's not an immediate need, because he has been able to get, I hate to use this phrase, but he's been able to cannibalize other parts. He's also, when we discussed that with the Harshaw Train folks, he's finding generic parts that aren't necessarily parts for that exact unit, but they're ones that will work. So it's, he's, again, this is I commend them too. They save us a tremendous amount just by doing those sorts of things, wherein he could spend a couple $1,000s to get a part instead of having to order a $170,000 unit, which I am thrilled about. So, he does a great job with that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A motion to consider and approve the 2017-18 working budget.
I'll make a motion.
So motion by Ms. Wells. Second by Mr. Johar. All in favor of considering the 17-18 working budget, say aye. Aye. All opposed? I hear none. And item E that we added on is to consider letter of support for Madisonville Community College application for National Science Foundation Advanced Technical Education Program. Mr. Davis.
Chairman, regular board members, I've given you that letter of support that he kind of crafted today. David Sherman and I went back and forth on this a little bit to try to make sure the wording would be satisfactory. And he gave quite a presentation on this on Monday evening. I think it's a great opportunity for our kids. The concern on my end was that I didn't want to pigeonhole us into something that maybe after 3 or 4 years wasn't going as well as we'd like or whatever, and then we were obligated to have the cost of a full-time facilitator and not knowing where we're going to be in 3 or 4 years, even though, hopefully we're going to be in a lot better shape. So particularly in that third paragraph right there, where it says at the end of the grant period, we are committed to providing funds to sustain the position should successful implementation and enrollment growth warrant it. And as you know, they're committing to 3 years, and Alyssa Manning, I did not ask her to be here tonight because she talked to us the other night. Felix Martin is committed to picking up the cost for 2 extra years on top of that. So for 5 years, our kids are going to have what I consider to be an excellent opportunity in an area that maybe we're lacking just a bit. And we're going to be at the cost of basically the utilities, and of course we're giving them space. So at the end of that 5 years, I'll just, on record, my hope would be I'll go back to Alyssa and say, would Felix Martin be interested in going 2 or 3 more years? But we have 5 years guaranteed, and I'm very comfortable with this, and I certainly recommend that you offer this letter of support.
Thank you. I have a motion by Mr. Johar to approve.
Second.
Second by Ms. Wells. All in favor of considering the letter of support for Madisonville Community College application for the National Science Foundation Advanced Technical Education Program, say aye. Aye. All opposed? I hear none. And we're now down to the board consent agenda. Is there anything anyone has any questions or concerns about here? And if not, I need a motion to approve.
So move.
I have a motion, Mr. Bowers.
Second.
Second by Ms. Wells. All in favor of approving the board consent agenda, say aye. Aye. All opposed? I hear none. And a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Motion by Mr. Johar and a second by Mr. Bowers. All in favor of adjournment, say aye. Aye. We're adjourned.